Hello. I am making this recording in an attempt to create a channeled session on Easter Sunday, 2025. For 2025 as well. It's not super early in the morning at all. I probably would have had an easier time connecting with Source at a less busy time. There's a lot of activity going on behind your perspective, actually. There's a relatively busy road that I'm looking at, but I have a curiosity in how this will go, and I have a faith in all that is. That even if this doesn't meet a standard of quality to be shared, at least the experience will be something that I can learn from. So if you end up viewing this, I appreciate you for sticking around and seeing how things go. I am showing up as I am. I did put on a kind of cool shirt though, but other than that, I just kind of rolled up out of bed. Make sure I drink some water. It's a good medium. And so are you. I'm going to do a series of deep breathing. I'm trying my best to breathe as low as I can into my belly, into my core of my being. Breathe deeply and hold at the apex of the breath. Hold. I'm just going to sit with that feeling of being full, and you actually start to feel something happening in your body, especially if you have good posture while you're doing it, while you're holding your breath. Not sure I could necessarily describe what is happening, but it's happening. And then I elongate the exhale and hold at the bottom of the breath. Sometimes I can hold it at the bottom for long periods of time. Sometimes it feels like I'm suffocating or drowning. But a key there is that you are not dying. It is an illusion, especially since you've just taken that deep breath. And supposedly after a series of deep breaths, the urgency to breathe in at the bottom of a long exhale kind of wanes. And this is how I enter a type of meditative channeling state. Through a simple breathing process like this over time, usually with my eyes closed. And then I do a prayer to ensure that the message that I'm speaking, that is coming through me as the vessel, is pure, and then we see what happens. So if you want to stick around, let's check it out. We're going to do some breathing, the prayer, and then the channeling will begin. Maybe I'll have a link to when the channeling message actually begins. Here we go. Thank you, God, for guiding me with your love and light. Thank you, God, for surrounding me with your love and light. Thank you, God, for protecting me with your love and light. Thank you, God, for imbuing me with your love and light. And thank you, God, for cloaking me with your love and light. I say these affirmations of gratitude to the Creator, knowing that in truth I need no protection, and that there is no true separation between what I am in truth and that of the Creator. And by extension, that means that I am not separate from anything that I ever see before me in this and in any other reality of form or formless. Imagination is the core of creation. If I can imagine it, it can become reality. But alas, let's continue with the prayer. Good morning, Archangel Michael. Good morning. Good morning, Archangel Raphael. Good morning. Good morning, Archangel Uriel. Good morning. And good morning, Archangel Gabriel. Good morning. Good morning, Higher Self. Good morning, Higher Team. All angels, guides, and light workers, here for my highest good and the highest good of all. And that could be the end of the prayer, but I enjoy pointing out specific elements, aspects of creation to join us. And today being Easter, I think it's important that we bring in our brother Yeshua, known as Jesus Christ, who it is said was risen from the dead. And that is what this holiday is in celebration of, the rising of Christ. So we will focus this channeling on a message in relation to, and perhaps even in collaboration with, the spirit of Yeshua ben Joseph, known as Jesus Christ. And we may end up bringing in his mother, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, and perhaps we leave it at that, for it was these women who Christ went to. It was the feminine that Christ trusted most, both with his resurrection and his teachings. For though he had many male disciples, none truly were able to let go of their ego and receive, be the vessel that received his core truth, his message. And it wasn't even his message, it is the message that comes through many beings that have reached a Christed presence. And that is what Easter and the prophesied return of the Christ are really talking about. It's the claiming of Christhood in the modern human, in mass, in large scale, in these modern now moment times. For all time is now, and this is the only moment that it could happen. This moment. The return of Christ, the rising of Christ. It is our responsibility. It is our birthright. It is our purpose to become the vessels for Source, for God, for the Father, to move and speak through, to become clear channels. Yes, we have egos. Yes, we have stories. Yes, you have bodies and relationships with other bodies and other egos. And it is not meant to be a goal to brush away any of these things. In fact, it is to allow the Christ to rise within and radiate out from these flawed and storied egos and vessels that we currently inhabit. Every day, every moment is an opportunity for Easter to occur within your life. You have this ability to allow your higher self, to allow Source to speak and move through you. When you are doing something that you truly enjoy and time seems to fade away, pay attention. This is whatever this activity you're doing when that occurs. It's very likely that that activity is a key to your joy, your bliss. For you see, you're being communicated with by your higher self, by God, at every now moment, through the language of excitement, of interest. The way of the old world of following orders and doing what you're told by some outside force, be it a boss or some other form of authority, is falling away. The coming now moments will be the coming now moments, the future, if you will, will be grounded in presence. It will be grounded and could be described as each individual following their own self-led voice from inside, doing whatever it is that they are designed to do, that they enjoy. And when each individual on a planet, in a community, is doing this, is following their individual heart-led service, because what's going to happen is each person is going to have something that they are energized by doing that is in service to their community or the collective. This is how we are designed. And when all parties are doing this, everything gets done, because there's someone to do every task. There's someone to provide every service. But it requires a certain percentage of all involved parties trusting their inner guidance and participating in this new way of community, this new way of being in community. One of the interesting things about this is that many will push back on this idea, thinking that they couldn't possibly survive or make a living following this guidance or living in this way. But that's simply not the case. As one example, this vessel, Miguel, over the course of years, through a series of journaling, channeling, introspection, and discussion, reached a point where he could no longer deny that his strange interest in pulling weeds, which was completely removed from any of his education in traditional art or any of his work experience in sales or even carpentry. None of these things would logically point to starting a business pulling weeds. And yet, his inner guidance through channeling and insight while spending time in nature, in combination with guidance from others who were also tapped into Source in their own way, just as a way of confirmation of what he was receiving, made it impossible to ignore that it made sense to do this. And so he did. He finally took the call, listened to the call, and took the actions to create a business name, business logo, advertisement, and step into the role. He reached out to family members and took one job for one distant family member and showed up and did his work, assuming the role of someone who does this for a living, even though it was the very first time. And he loved it, and he did an amazing job. With integrity, with commitment to removing all traces of rhizomes or root systems of any of the weeds or unwanted plant species that were in that particular garden bed. And he set a price for his labor, nearly double that of which he had ever received from any boss or company that he'd ever worked for. And the family member, based on his hourly rate that he had set, which was $30 at the time, $30 an hour, based on that, he was only given a single day to do as much as he could. And he did a lot. And he earned that $30 an hour. And from that point, word of mouth from each client who took him on has been the sole source of new clients, which he has been blessed with an abundance of new opportunities. And as time went on, he was able to raise that rate to 35. Now even $42 an hour. Pulling weeds with integrity, with compassion, communication with his clients, able to discuss any number of topics with clients while on property. He named the company Joyful Weeding. Because it is an example to all who are able to witness him that a key element in living a life of joy is to find that which brings each individual joy, that can be turned into a service for their community. And that is what Miguel has found in Joyful Weeding. And it certainly isn't where he plans to stop. There are many other joyful services he plans to create businesses for, or at least create a network of businesses that maybe you or some other being takes lead on. But this is a large part of the wave of how we will operate in the coming future now moments. Being in service, rooted in joy. For if you are performing any task that you do not wish to be doing, you will not be doing the best that can be done. It's a simple fact. You will either be lost in thought on what you'll do when you leave, or simply just in complaint of what you're currently doing. I don't want to be doing this. This sucks. And that is why there needs to be discernment in hiring joyful laborers in each classification, in each business model. Each active participant needs to genuinely be experiencing joy while operating in service. It's a requirement going forward, and you can see this in the rise of the prevalence of autism in the community. Not that there are more autistic people, but there's more of an awareness, more of an understanding rising, and believe it or not, there is more acceptance, even though the leaders of certain governments are doing what they can to demonize or other the autistic community, scare the public into thinking that we need to fear and fix or cure autism, which is far from what's going to happen. Those on the autism spectrum are a wave of how the future will be, must be. They are canaries in the coal mine, as it were, showing us how capitalism, as it is, simply does not resonate with how future humans be. When an individual on the autism spectrum is doing something they don't want to do, you will notice. And likewise, when they're doing something they do want to do, you will notice. Now, you may not consider yourself on the autism spectrum, and that is fine. You may not be. But you might be. Regardless, if you listen to your body when you're performing activities, perform all kinds of activities until you find one of the things that brings you joy, that can coincide with a service that you can be compensated for, and create your joyful business. When you're in that place, you will have the space to have Christ rise within you. I know who you are in truth. I know what you are in truth. I know how you serve in truth. You are free. You are free. You are free. I am word through my body. Word, I am word. I am word through my vibration. Word, I am word. I am word through my knowing of myself as word. Word, I am word. You are in the upper room. It can be so. It will be so. It is so. The kingdom of heaven on earth, it's right here. Step into it. Claim it.